Alright guys, Ron here with Tech Tips to Go. So this is part 2 to my video that I made, when will Vechain hit, 10 cents a dollar, etc, etc. So I wanted to make this video a follow-up, a part 2 to this video on a similar company that I worked with for many years that was similar to Vechain. So before we get into the video, please do me a favor guys, subscribe, comment, like. It'll really help the channel and support the stuff and the videos that I put out for you guys if you just click that little subscribe button. So let's get into the video. I wanted to make the video to kind of put another perspective on price expectations, how long will it take to get to $1, $2, $3, $20, etc. So I did work for a company that's similar to what Vechain does, not in blockchain technology solutions, but in supply chain management solutions. So if you guys have been watching my videos before and you know a little about me, I own a technology company that deals strictly with manufacturing, logistics, 3PL, supply chain industry. So we deal more with the hardware, the networking side, etc. But we also work with third-party vendors, consulting companies like PwC, EY, Ernst Young, IBM, and other technology vendors. So we do everything AIDC, like barcode scanning, RFID technologies, so the Internet of Things, GPS tracking, but mostly RFID tracking solutions. So we do a lot of similar things that Vechain will do in terms of selling, the RFID tags, the inlays, tagging them. After you tag them, you write your data. The data gets read by software, gets put into an ERP or WMS. I wanted to make the video basically kind of like, how much patience do you have, or how long can you hold or hodl, your token of Vechain, for example. So at the start of my career with this company, this is back in 2004. So in 2004, the company, when IPO'd, I think they were hovering around $1, right? So we got in, I got my shares, maybe about 5,000 or 10,000 shares, around $1 per share. So when the company got bought out, that's when I joined them. It was $1 per share. The company had potential. They were doing a lot of supply chain industry solutions, focusing more on software. So there's always that hardware aspect. And then I'll get more into the story of what the ending price was when I left the company, and what year I left, and not how much I made. I'm not going to disclose that, but I did pretty well. I did okay. So anyways, so in 2004, I remember the first sales guy that I worked with, he was probably one of the best salesperson that I've ever worked with in my entire life. So he ended up getting one of our top accounts in heavy machinery. So that company was the Cat dealership. So it was a Caterpillar dealership. We started out with one, just on the hardware side. So, Caterpillar always needed, I think it was Finland Cat out in Finland, but they needed hardware, and we were a reseller of a specific hardware, and they needed it, and we were that kind of like niche VAR that can provide these solutions in this specific niche. So if you relate that, to Vechain, they've got expertise in blockchain technology solutions. So the Cat dealers knew that about our company. So anyways, this salesperson got that dealership on a hardware contract, but we always focused on a lot of software because we knew that software was the bulk of our money, because once your software is built, you're just doing a lot of maintenance, upgrades, professional services. You're just deploying people to maintain, provide patches. And that's where we made the bulk of our money, which was software. Hardware, you don't make so much money because, nowadays it's like, you make 10 points off of hardware, right? So it's very difficult. But if you do have a software solution, it's just reselling that software over and over again. It's built, and you just keep making, huge margins and professional services with upgrades, maintenance, etc. Upgrades costs. So anyways, we went from one Cat dealership, and this is the way it works. So we had Finland Cat, and then I remember we ended up getting Cashman Cat, which is out in Nevada. They have Reno Cat, Cashman Cat. Then we also ended up getting Tormont Cat, which is in Toronto. And so the Caterpillars have an annual conference. I forgot what location. I think it's in Las Vegas. But they have multiple supply chain industry conferences around the world, Orlando. So, like I mentioned before, we started with one cat dealership, and all of the cat owners and dealerships all talk to each other. And we ended up selling, I forgot what cat dealer it was where we sold them the one solution, but that owner of that cat dealer, they'd all just huddle, talk. We'd always meet at the conferences. And I remember going through these meetings, just working with them all the time. And they'd say, the software is great, it works. And the software that we sold them was just a warehouse management system, because cat dealers have thousands of parts. A company building, X amount of construction sites per year ran out of parts. So we'd helicopter fly out X amount of parts out there, always make sure parts are in stock, replenished, put away properly, etc. So the cat dealerships would have these meetings, and every year they get together and they'd introduce our company and say, well, wow, we started implementing X software and it's such a great solution. It's saving us time. We can see the return on investment, etc. It's a great company. So that one software deal ended up capturing majority of the cat market in North America, in Canada, in the US, out in Peru, out in Finland, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And they've been a customer. I think by the time I left, they're still a customer, and they still continue with the upgrades in the software. But I wanted to kind of relate this to Vechain. Is they're in the auto industry, right? So they've got BMW, BYD. So imagine how that trickles down in terms of relationship, community, speaking with other counterparts, seeing, let's say you're Volkswagen and you see what BMW is doing. Okay, well, what's BMW doing with blockchain solutions? What is blockchain solutions? How are they doing with verifying the car, the mileage, etc.? So that kind of, that's the advantage of Vechain, because they're such early adopters and they're so far ahead of the game that I relate that to the cat market. And that's the reason why I got into Vechain so much, is because I own a supply chain company in technology, and I just saw the potential, and that's why I heavily invested into it. And I see a bright future for it. So basically that cat dealership ended up signing, we ended up signing, a large amount of cat dealers. And like I mentioned too, like you look at Vechain, you look at Walmart, you look at groceries, more and more customers and competitors of Walmart are going to start adopting, the My Story for DNVHL, just for consumer confidence. Customers want to see exactly where their products are coming from, where it was stored, that, who made it, where was it from. So that's how I see it's going to trickle down. So we started with heavy machinery, warehouse management solutions, in supply chain, in parts, inventory management. So that's how we started, right? And the stock was hovering around $2, went up to $4. So that was 2004, started around $1 to $2. By the time it was 2008, 2009, I think went to $7. So that's why I'm just kind of trying to relate, just trying to see your expectations. You guys think, some of you guys think that, Vechain is going to go to $75, but no, guys, Vechain is a real business. It's not going to create fluff and people are going to just start putting a market value and say it's $75. But you know what? I could be wrong too. Who knows? Because in the cryptocurrency market, it's a lot different. We could go to $75. Who knows? Until the market proves me wrong, then I'll be quiet. But anyways, so 2008, we ended up hovering around $8 to $9. And then I'll get into this next story. So we were in inventory management, warehouse management solutions. So we kept selling these solutions to the same dealers, same niche, same market, but we had the software built. So we started to reach out and hire more salespeople. And eventually we got into healthcare and into medical. So I remember the first RFID project I worked with. I think I built one of the first RFID projects in Canada, which was for Bayer Aspirin, and we built an RFID portal to track pallets. Now they were losing like a bunch of pallets, like $50,000 a month worth of pallets, and we had to track these with RFID chips. So we built a portal through all their doctors. But anyways, we got into medical. We went from inventory basically in the cat heavy machinery, and we started to branch out into medical and in the hospital industry. So I remember working with the New York City Department of Mental Health, and from then on, we took that same software and we expanded more and built more into the medical market, into Cardinal Health, into probably over like 40 to 50 other hospitals and supply chain IDN hospital like type of solutions in the US. So we captured heavy machinery, inventory management, warehouse management for medical and hospitals, and that's how it grew. Then eventually, 3 years before I left, we got into the gas sector. And then we got heavily more into RFID solutions in the actual emergency care patient rooms. So that grew because we had an account with Cardinal Health. So I wanted to relate this into Vechain's kind of the way they're growing is, so they started out with one particular niche, but as you can see, Vechain is in multiple niches. It's not just the Walmarts, traceability, etc. They also have, the auto industry as well. BYD, BMW with Verify Car, LNG, so Shanghai Gas. They've got the gas and sector. They have the auto market. So that's what interests me a lot, because when I worked at that supply chain company, I'm not going to name the company, not because I left on bad terms or anything, I just want to keep things more confidential. But so that was, like 7-8 years later, 4 years, 5 years later, it went up to $7-8, and that's how it kind of slowly grew. We kept getting more and more contracts, started getting into more niches, laying our foundation into that niche. More and more customers saw that, wow, well, you're dealing with like Orlando Health, Cardinal Health, and they just saw, the company grow as a software team, landing more deals in software and medical industry and heavy machinery, not casino and gaming. We did a little banking solutions, but, we started to just really focus on healthcare, medical, hospitals, heavy machinery, and then we were also working in large supply chains like Hondas, the Nissans, etc. So that's how I see Vechain growing, because they already have TCC, which is like, the vthor, the Vechain toolkit. So they got the Vechain toolkit, which makes it easier for customers to rapidly deploy easier if they're not like technology inclined. They could either hire PwC or DMVGL and get professional services and build custom development, or they could just use Vechain toolchain kit and get on board fast and verifying stuff on the blockchain. So that's how I see the company that I work for, how Vechain is kind of growing into different segments of the market. And the reason why I'm so bullish on it is because they got two of those strong partners, PwC and DNVGL. So Vechain sells their solution, but then they have PwC that already has these strong connections in probably every niche out there that'll want to deploy stuff on the blockchain. Because like I said, the blockchain industry is going to be huge in the future. We're in such an early phase of blockchain technology. And if you look at research and market research out there on where blockchain technology is going to be in the supply chain industry, the numbers are going to like blow your mind. I think I did a video on that. Go check out my video, but you'll see the numbers. I think it's expected to grow exponentially in supply chain. That's just supply chain only, right? So there's the markets to be involved in blockchain. So anyways, let's continue the story. So it went up to $8, and we went into medical, hospital, the automotive industry. Not so much in automotive, like we did Honda. We did all of Honda across Canada in terms of supply chain solutions, had all the cat dealers. And then by the time I left, so this is, I was consulting with them, and I stopped consulting with them in 2019. So let's say 2019, when I left, the share price ended up being $19 a share. So, you put that into perspective, is like, do you have enough patience to wait, 14, 15 years to hold on to your investment in Vechain, whether you're bagging an X node, a Thunder node, majority node, do you have enough patience to wait that long for your investment? Let's say it's VET going to $19 a share. It just, right? So I'm just putting things into perspective when I left. But basically, the company, it's a great company. I'm not going to mention who it was, but or who the company is, but they ended up being, and so $19, I think the company overall was like about an $80 million company, or 60 to $100 million. I think they ended up being like an $80 million company with about 250 employees, offices mostly in Canada, but with a lot of professional service consultants in the US. So anyways, this is my part 2. I want to keep it short and kind of put numbers into your head to say, like, if you're expecting like this huge bull run to be like $75 or $100 per vet coin, I'm not saying I'm here to disappoint you, but it might be a long-term growth strategy for you. And I don't know. Who knows when it's going to get to 10 cents a dollar? But I don't know. I've got predictions. It just really depends on the bullish Bitcoin run and how Bitcoin, moons. If we see Bitcoin moon, like some people are thinking Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Now, if Bitcoin goes 100,000, yeah, then I'll see VET and Vechain go pretty high. But it just really depends. And like I mentioned in my video, don't lose what you can't afford. So anyways, I wanted to keep it short, sweet, and simple for you guys. If you like it, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.